The old cowboy put his finger on a mesa, carefully drawn on the canvas map. That's the place to fight shy of. You're getting in the cliff dweller country, but you won't find any up there. Them old Indians was smart. They wanted no part of that place. But it ain't just at that one spot. There's 40 or 50 square miles of country that's best to leave alone. Not to say I was never there. I got in there an old time or two. There was an old Indian, a fine old man. Knowed him for years before he said anything to me about that there place. He said there was a way, whatever that meant. But all those who knew how to use it were gone. It was a clan secret, and the clan died out. Or was killed off by somebody who wanted the way kept secret. He pushed the canvas toward Mike Raglan. Stick this inside your shirt and never let anybody know you got it. There's those who would kill to get their hands on it, and it would serve them right. That's why I never told nobody until now. I'm an old man, boy. I've seen the sunset over that there Red Rock country many's a time. I seen men go into that country who never came back. I've known others who come back stark raving mad, memory gone, and their wits along with it. There's another world over there somewheres. At least there's a way to get to it. Like them Spanish men in their iron suits, they seen the 7 cities of Cibola. They really seen them. They weren't looking at any pueblos with the sun on them. They just happened to see them through the veil. Somehow it was open then, and they seen right through and never got over what they seen. They are there, boy. I seen them too. But there's evil over there, evil like you and me can't even imagine. It was that there ancient evil that drove all the cliff dwellers into this world, coming through, as they said it, a hole in the ground. In their kivas, their ceremonial centers, there's what they call a sipapu. It's a hole in the floor that symbolizes how they escape from the evil. But that evil is still over there, son, and don't you forget it. That had been a long time ago, and Mike Raglan had told the story to no one, not even to Eric Hokart. Yet, he had warned Eric about the country. He had advised him to forget it, to choose any other place, but Hokart would not listen. Later on that same early trip, he had mentioned the mesa to Jack. No man's mesa, the old miner said. We camp near there tomorrow night, if we're lucky. He shook his head. There's not much in the way of roads. Some trails and wagon routes that Navajos use. I've been through there horseback, but never with a car. You may have to walk ahead and scout a route, roll rocks out of the way and such. It's mighty rough country. Know anything about that mesa? Jack was a long time in replying. Finally, he shrugged. Just a big chunk of rock, talus slopes, sheer rock around the rim. Kind of out of the way, and nobody pays it much mind. Indicating one of Jack's Paiute friends, Mike suggested, ask him if he knows anything about it. Jack waved a hand. His manner just a little too casual. Nothing to ask. And don't look for it on a map. Chances are they'll have it in the wrong place, even if it's in the wrong state. I am curious. Ask a Hopi then. They've been here forever. My advice is to forget it. I want to climb it. See what's on top. You're crazy, Mike. Let it well enough alone. Climate he had, but that was another story, and too long ago. He had covered a lot of country since then, had grown older, and he hoped wiser. He got back in the car and locked the doors and leaned his head back. He was tired, really tired. Where the devil was Eric? All he wanted now was a quiet meal in his bed at Tamarin. No. He would settle for the bed. He could eat tomorrow. He sat up, started the car, and drove slowly, carefully along the road toward the San Juan. The long mesa from which he had seen the flare towered up over him now, dark and threatening. The northern tip of the mesa loomed against the sky like a prow of a giant ship. Peering ahead, he could see the gleam of water. That would be the San Juan River, or water backed up by Glen Canyon Dam. He had not been in this country since the dam was built. He started to get out of the car, then paused, taking time to thread his belt through the holster loop and buckle up again. He wore the holster on his left side, situated for a cross draw or a left-hand draw if necessary. Often he climbed into high, relatively inaccessible places, and habitually carried the gun as protection against an inadvertent meeting with a bear or a mountain lion. The chance of such an encounter was slight, but after one near brush with a lion, he had gone prepared. He had no desire to kill anything, nor did he have any desire to be a chance victim. The gun had a reassuring feel. He stepped down from the car and closed the door softly behind him. With the sound, there was a scurry of movement off in the dark, a rattle of pebbles, then silence. His hand on the gun, he waited. He was not the sort to shoot at any sound nor anything that he could not identify, but the movement disturbed him. It might have been a coyote, but his impression was of something larger. For a long time he waited. It was unlike Eric Hokart, who was meticulous about keeping appointments. He paced the car near the road. It was cold, as desert nights were apt to be. He put his hand on the door handle. Suddenly, from the edge of the mesa, towering above him, there was a brilliant flare. Only a momentary flash. Yet for that instant, it shed white radiance all around. And just as suddenly, it's gone. In the utter darkness that followed, the desert seemed to scurry with life. He glimpsed vaguely at a rush of naked figures, and something smashed hard in the side of his car. He turned sharply and for an instant stared into the wide, expressionless eyes of a naked creature. It seemed not to see him at all, but it scrambled around his car and ran off into the night, leaving it behind a heavy, fetid odor, as of something dead. Then the creatures, or men, whatever they were, vanished into the night, and he was alone. Only the odor lingered. They were far off retreating sounds, and then silence, and he shuddered and got up quickly into his car and closed the door, unlocking it. It happened so suddenly that there had been no chance for fear. Shaken, he turned the car about and drove back to Tamarin, where they were staying. The drive was long and the day was breaking before he drew up in front of the lodge. Leaving the motor running, he went to the desk for his mail before driving off on to the condominium. There was a handful of letters in a small packet wrapped in brown paper and tied with string. It bore no stamps and no postmark. He recognized the handwriting and turned back to the desk clerk. "When did this come? Were you here when it was delivered?" "It was about 10 o'clock last night. I asked if she wanted me to inquire whether you were in or not, but she shook her head. She just put the package on the counter and looked at me strangely and turned away. When she got to the door, she turned and looked around. Not just at me, at everything." "You seem to have paid attention." She flushed. "Well, she was strange somehow. Strange. She was very beautiful, exotic looking. Like nobody around here. I thought at first she was an Indian, but like not like any I ever knew. But it was the way she looked at me. But not really at me. At my face, my hair, my clothes. Why not? You're an attractive girl.